Hello and welcome back to the Pub Test Podcast. I am your host, Fletcher, and Tommy C is on the mic on the other side.
Did you almost forget your name then?
Oh, I switched up the intros. I switched up with like...
So you decided mid-intro to change it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough.
Well, kind of just, I don't know, felt that way. I don't know what happened to me. I was here. Big day.
It was.
Tuesday, the 13th of June, or
That's true.
Monday for them. Denver Nuggets have secured their first championship in franchise history.
First ever.
First ever. So altitude was a big difference making this one.
Yeah.
Joking, because... Anyway, they've won it in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Only lost the one game at home.
Yeah.
Not even
Game 2.
away.
Was it game 2?
Yeah, game 2. And then Nikola Jokic won MVP.
Shock to absolutely no one.
Would you rather win an MVP of the season, MVP of the finals?
Be fine.
At Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I know. And it is funny that... it is funny. We talked about it on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. That the 1 year that we're like voter fatigue on Jokic or Embiid's better, Jokic completely outplays the hell out of Embiid in the playoffs.
Yep.
And wins his first ring. Like that is very poetic justice, I reckon.
Poetic justice.
Yes.
Really?
But yeah, I mean it was pretty obvious Jokic was going to win it. I think he almost would have won it if they lost the series, to be honest. Just the fact that Jimmy Butler hasn't been that good, that I think he would have won in the loss almost. But they won in 5, so it doesn't matter. But I think the biggest thing for me, I know you're the NBA guy, but I watched some of those NBA shows, and Chris Broussard was talking a lot about how the Nuggets won in so many different ways across the series.
Yeah, 100%.
One game, their stars fired. One game, their stars were quiet and it was their role players. One game, they did it without making threes. One game, they did it with making threes. They just did it in so many different ways, and the Heat just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, totally. And probably every series, they beat them in every facet of the game and led to wins, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't just 3-pointers, it wasn't just rebounding. They out-rebounded in game 3, I think it was, by 29 boards. 29 boards, that's massive. Then they did, as you said, Bruce Brown in that game 3 too. Game 4, sorry. Went for 20 points and hit some really good late threes. I think Michael Porter Jr. had a bad game and Murray had an okay game, I'm pretty sure. But Nikola Jokic was fine. Like, they just had so many contributors to that team. Don't matter where you went or where you turned. They had an answer for everything across the board. So well-deserved winners they were. Nikola Jokic is just building a nice resume now. Very nice resume. We looked at his draft beforehand. Pick 42, wasn't it? Or
41.
41. I mean, an absolute steal of the draft, and he's going to keep doing this for a long time. I think he's not playing with a physical dominance.
It's not a taxing brand of basketball, is it?
No.
He's going to be mid-30s and just being a facilitator. He's not crushing and bashing. He's going to play for a very, very long time.
Yeah, he can play with skill, so it doesn't really worry him to play in a crash and bash style, as you said. So, I mean, this lineup is looking very nice, and we had the questions during the year. I posed it that are they the Utah Jazz of yesteryear? You know, a really good regular season side and promising, but never could quite have the star power to push them over to the edge, or just have the difference between a good team and a great team. But I think they've proven that question to be not, and to not ask that question ever again, because emphatic against some sides. And I think they'll be the strong favourites all next year to win it all.
I think so. I think the only real knock on them this year was that they hadn't done the playoffs. So people were like, well, I'm not going to keep picking them. They're not going to win anything in the playoffs. But yeah, scary. The fact that their role players are just so... like, and Jamal Murray's... do you think Jamal Murray's elevated himself this playoff series?
Not really elevated himself. He went back to bubble Murray.
Okay.
And he just did that more consistently and more constantly. So it didn't help, obviously, he missed it a couple of years because of the ACL, but he just got himself to bubble Murray, probably a little bit under because that was some incredible games, but was good enough for that, and then he's just continued on, and that's every game, or at least 80% of the games, instead of just for a flash in the pan, for a series here and there, for 4 wins here and there. So he's going to be he's a good player. He's a fantastic player. So all the props go to them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're looking at some of his, he had a few sub 20-point games, but he backed it up with 10 assists. So he did it on. He's the Robin. He doesn't have to be dropping 30s for them to win.
No.
But he was getting. He had in every game this series. We went 10, 10, 10, 12, 8. So
and that's what he's not known
to,
for. That he's
correct.
not known for. He's a score first point guard.
He only averaged 6 assists for the season.
Like
6.2 assists.
Elevate a few more possessions because you go to your stars a bit more.
Correct.
But at the same time, it wasn't turning that into scores, or he wasn't turning that into his scores. He was turning that into whatever the team needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was assists sometimes. So,
and it was a pretty clear plan. Was you always knew Murray was going to be the closer. He was in the last quarter. He was taking over.
Yeah.
So even today, he had 4 points in 3 quarters and finished with 14. So he had
10 in the last.
10 in the last. Like it's pretty obvious that he would try and get off to a really hot start, and then he'd be the closer.
Yeah.
And Jokic would kind of facilitate around him. But
which I love because they had a synergy between the two of them. It's like, you do this and I do that. We work together instead of butt heads, instead of crash each other and want to always be scoring. Let's work together and take our best strengths. Like it's in the clutch, it's easier to score when you can shoot the 3-point line and play a bit more downhill than playing out of the post. It's a bit easier to score. And so they use that strength instead of butting heads and saying, I want to be the closer. Each humble pie and get your numbers when you need it or do what you need to do to win. And that's probably the difference between some sides and other sides. And I mean, the Sixers, you could arguably say the Sixers have just as much talent. Boston just has just as enough talent.
arguably more.
Arguably more, 100%. But the Denver Nuggets have valued or have put more weight in winning over anyone else. And that's why they're at the top step. And maybe a little bit of luck too along the way. But they have, in my opinion, valued winning more than any other side in the competition this year. Now, it may be easy to say that because they've won, but from all their interviews, the way they talked all year, all they've cared about is winning at the end of the day. And that was, or being the team that win the last game of the year, which was today, obviously.
And it is interesting. Definitely something when you definitely a hot topic has been, players like KD joining really good sides and building like a sort of super team that's becoming less and less. I don't know what the word is, but obviously Denver are nowhere near as talented in terms of their star players.
Yeah,
you'd say Booker and KD are better than that. You'd like them. They're 2 top 15 players.
Yeah,
Murray wouldn't even be in the 20.
Probably not. No,
and Denver's more well rounded, so it's probably almost starting to kill off this idea of a super team. Like you're seeing that you saw KD and Booker, okay, they're going to make a deep run. They didn't even look like it.
That and like Golden State won last year, and I know they got a few trades in, but most of their players are drafted and been with them for a long time. Draymond, Clay, Steph, and then obviously you had who's the year before that?
The year before that was the Bucks.
Drafted. Oh no, they got Chris Middleton.
Drew came from the Pels.
New Orleans, yeah. But they drafted Giannis, and they got some nice picks in there, but they most built it and gave it 2 or 3 years, at least 2 or 3 years.
You wouldn't call that a super team.
No, and not like trade. It's like we picked who we wanted. We knew our strengths and knew our weaknesses, and picked our free agents. And then you go back to Toronto. Obviously, they had a lot of draftees, but they also went for that big trade. And then you go back to Golden State over and over again. They've built through the draft versus building through just making a blockbuster trade and hoping that those people get you through.
Yeah, so you're seeing another one. Perfect example is 76ers trying to go and get Harden.
Yeah,
falls flat on its face. Like, as you're starting to see that, I think it's going to take deep teams to win championships now, not just your 2 stars going off. I just don't think it's sustainable. Like Booker and KD were dropping 40s each, and they still weren't winning games. It's going to take depth to win titles.
100%.
So, it's good for the league. Like, it's good that it's not going to be like back in the day where KD joins the Warriors and the league's done. So it's proving that if you build a real consistent team, you're going to be with a chance just as much as trying to bring a superstar in and win it like that way.
And it's good to see Denver win because they're a very small franchise, a very small market. So it gives hope for a Portland, for those smaller franchises, Memphis,
The Kings.
the Kings, that aren't big and can't just sit there and say, "Come play with us. You have packed arena every night. Nike will get you 10% increase because you're in a big state, in a big market." You can still build through that way. In my
And you can
opinion,
attract talent as well. That you don't need to be in a big market to be dominant. You can try and attract.
yeah, like a
talent
Bruce Brown.
otherwise.
They got Bruce Brown during the off season, which he was fantastic for him. Like a really nice utility. KCP, they attracted him to him. Like these players might be a little bit underrated or a little bit like, oh, they're not big names, but like, that is what we just talked. You need 6 to 7 guys that can flat out play, and KCP and Bruce Brown can play on any sort of position. Like KCP can defend anyone through 1 through 3, which is really important, and he can shoot the 3, which is really, really important. And then Bruce Brown can play on anyone 1 through 5. He'll try his hardest at 5, and will then just chip in offense. He finds a way, backdoor cuts, quite athletic, hits a 3 every now and again when he's needed. Like they just find a way. They're winners. That's all they give a shit about is winning. So those players can get attracted to a small market compared to those big markets always pulling them away.
Yep.
The one thing I did want to talk about, which is kind of slipped my mind at the moment, the Miami Heat, where are they going now? Like, do you reckon they can... There's been obviously rumours for 3 or 4 years that Joel Embiid and Jimmy are very, very close, and he's done everything that a player can do without pretty much saying, "Come to us." Do you think this is going to tempt a superstar to come to Miami? Or ask for a trade to go to Miami?
I think it can. I'm not sure it'll be Embiid because they got Bam. I'm not sure Bam and Embiid would work, but
You don't have to have Bam. If you
that's
have
true.
to.
You reckon Bam will be involved in the trade? But yeah, Bam looked good this playoffs, but
He's not Embiid though.
no. I don't
He
think
did look good though.
He did look good. He
I
took
did
he took a lot of shots. He was his offensive game, obviously known for his defense, but his offense was really good.
His game expanded over this offseason.
Correct.
Over this playoff series.
But I think it can. How old is Jimmy Butler? Because
He's getting on.
That would concern me because around that, obviously, that again, we're talking about depth in terms of rosters. They did it with a bunch of undrafted blokes, so that's unreal. But
They've got those pieces.
yeah, my only thing is
They just don't have the talent.
he's 33.
So you've got 2 or 3 seasons at the absolute
Yeah,
optimum, and then you can go regress from there. But you've got to be. I think Pat Riley's one for winning, so he will be looking. He don't give a shit about first round draft picks. I think Tyler Hero will be on the trading block.
because they did it without him. It was unlucky, obviously, he got injured, but they did it without him. Like
And he's always injured.
he's always injured.
He's always injured.
I think definitely now. I don't think you'd wait another year because I think if you wait till next year, by then Butler's 34. But I think it's definitely worth thinking about, especially. I mean, Butler can cruise even more throughout the season than he already does. It just seemingly happens. What happens is he cruises through the season, has some unbelievable playoff series, and then gets to the end and he just fades out. And understandably so. He's 33 carrying this roster. So if you get another star with him, all of a sudden Butler can really freshen up, play half the season, and then can pick and choose. Because I was listening to JJ Redick, and I found it really intriguing that he's like, Butler's game isn't dropping 40. He just does it occasionally when he feels like he has to. His game is dropping that 20 and 7 assists. So if he has a star with him, all of a sudden he can do that more often and it'd be less taxing.
100%.
So everyone sees that he drops 40 early on the playoffs, and like, well, this is Jimmy Butler. He's given to do that, but it's not his game. I found it really interesting hearing that.
And his game and that sort of stuff, his offensive game is built quietly built off the refs. Like a lot of up fakes, a lot of get in and get me my free throws, get me efficient shots. But when that starts, when we talk about James Harden and Joel Embiid, once you get deep in the playoffs, that starts to slow down. Those calls don't quite happen. Mm-hmm. You start playing teams a bit more locked in, and they don't fall for those up fakes. They don't fall for the little fouls. So then you don't get those little 5 or 10 points, which you sit at that 20-point mark.
Yeah.
But if they can go, I mean, they'll be knocking on the door of Dame. You'd be silly not to.
Have to.
He said in an Instagram post that is the number 1 destination for him.
Really?
If he was to leave,
Did he actually say that?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said if he was to leave, Miami would be the place.
That'd be cool. That'd be sick. Dave and Jimmy Butler. That would be a title.
That'd be a serious.
You'd be
trio.
pretty close. Do you reckon that'd be in the top 3 contenders if they got Dame, Jimmy, and Bam?
East, West, or are you talking the whole league?
Start with East. They're better than Philly.
It matters if James come back or not. To be fair, they made the play, so you have to say yes. I still think there's more talented teams. Boston out there.
Yeah, Boston, yeah, probably.
But mentally, I think
That would
have
be,
they've got the leg over anyone.
Yep.
So
that'd be cool. But they can't waste any time. So they got to do it. They got to do it this year because Jimmy. But I just think. We even saw today, Jimmy Butler was 2 for 10 through 3 quarters and then drops 14 points in about 5 minutes. So he wants to pick and choose. And the older you get, the more you have to pick and choose. Like, no one's going to be LeBron playing 48 minutes in at the age of like 38, wherever he is. So he's going to want to pick and choose. And I think he can't pick and choose unless he has another star with him. They can't win the title.
So he's not number one guy.
No.
He does really well, but he's just not number one guy.
He's
in a
number
team.
two. He's realistically number 2. His mentality's number 1, but he's getting old. He can't expect.
Yeah.
I think LeBron gives us an unrealistic expectation on what he at this old age. Him and KD.
Yeah.
No, not everyone's like that.
No,
They're freaks.
Totally agree with that. I love his mentality though. Just
It's hard not to love him.
did you see what he said about the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he wouldn't rock up.
He said, I wouldn't rock up. I couldn't give a shit.
Let's be real. I think he
probably
changed his mind, but that just shows how like that the narrative, because he ran himself out of a few. He kind of the narrative. He kind of quit on a few teams,
But he didn't quit. He was so pissed off that they didn't choose winning over anything else.
Correct.
Like Philly, they chose to pay Tobias Harris over him.
Yeah, I don't think I'll forget that quote where I think it was after the game against. So he's like, Tobias Harris over me.
Yeah, and then the Timberwolves, he just went and picked the four guys that literally two-way contracted G League players and said, "You're on my team." And Kat and Anthony Davis and all the Kat and Andrew Wiggins and all the starters can have their team. And he went out and busted their ass, and for every single point went and pointed and yelled at Kat.
Yeah, I heard Jeff Teague talk about that in an interview. That he literally did that and walked out, left.
And he didn't just do it quietly and start scoring. He said before the training, he just got up and said, "I'm picking these effing guys and playing you effing guys and to 21."
And it wasn't just Butler dropping 21. He got them from what Jeff Teague said. He got them all involved. So it wasn't just him dropping 21 and they were bystanders.
After every point, he went back to Kat and said, "I am beating your fucking ass.
Yeah.
Do something about it." And he didn't.
Yeah.
He's all about winning. Just show me you want to win. And
so that narrative is probably a bit like false. It's not because he wanted to be the guy. He wants to win.
Yeah, he's like he saw Kat's talent and just said, "Your mentality is the only reason you're not going to do it."
And to be honest, since then, Kat's mentality has not gotten any better.
He's 100% right.
He's still just a bit flaky. He's just a bit soft.
He's a bitch.
He actually is.
Like, let's not sugarcoat it. He's just not a number one guy.
So, but no, it's hard not to love Jimmy. Just the mentality and I like Jimmy.
I really want a superstar to pick Miami as their destination and say, "Trade me there, otherwise I won't play," so they can get a trade done. Because let's be honest, they can't get a trade done otherwise.
It's got so many undrafted blokes. So it's gonna have to be Hero plus. I don't even know. That's the thing. And they've got
no draft picks. So
what the hell are they gonna do?
But I wish, hopefully, someone. Yeah, James says, "I'm not playing with." He went at the Portland, but similar to James Harden was like, "I'm not playing unless you trade me," and then you can get something done that's really unders, but you can actually get something done because they're not playing. So I'd like to say it just for Jimmy's sake, almost. Denver, arguably, will they be able to keep this roster together? This is going to be very hard to keep. When you win a championship, the other guys get paid. We just talked about how it takes the other guys to win a championship. Well, when a championship gets won, the other guys get paid. A Houston, a Detroit, they got plenty of cap space. They're looking for that championship caliber. And so they go overpay that the championship team just can't pay. Yeah. So a Bruce Brown, we just talked about how good he is at KCP. I'm a bit worried. I'm not a bit worried, but will these guys stay and sit together? Because Golden State's been very lucky with how they could keep those players together.
Mm-hmm. MPJ is probably the one for me. I think he lives. There's kind of been murmurs him voicing his dissatisfaction about the lack of role. He played. I know he was all right today, but he played very few minutes this final series.
Game 3, he didn't play money.
He played 20. He played 20 minutes 3 games in a row.
Yeah,
and I mean we scored 2 points and 5 points as a shooter. Yeah, no shit, you're not playing, buddy. Doesn't play a lick of defense either.
Yeah.
But Casey, and I said he's the worry. The other ones, I don't know. I feel like, to be fair, KCP's won 2 rings now. Does he really need a third ring?
It's not really a third ring. You get paid.
You get paid. Yeah. So does he really need to hang around for another ring? He's done 2, get paid. I think they keep most of them. I don't know, but you probably better read of it than me. I think for me I think MPJ leaves.
I'm agreeing with that. MPJ will be the one that'll leave. I don't know what his contract situation is, but I don't think anyone trade for him. But if he's a free agent, he'd be getting some serious coin. I think the rest of them, that starting five's all staying together. Aaron Gordon,
I agree,
staying there. Bruce Brown staying there, and they won't even miss.
So a lot of them they got their rebrand. Like Gordon was no man's land.
Yeah.
So
100%.
do you almost think that in these situations a bit of loyalty comes into it, like that? Well, they didn't make me because Gordon was known as a dunker until he's come to the Nuggets. Now he looks like a really good NBA player.
They restarted his career.
Yeah,
rejuvenated
for sure. Yeah,
like he was like Orlando's like, oh, what could he be? What could he be? This is what he is.
Yeah.
And then once you say this is what he is, you always start falling. You can put the same numbers, but you start like in the public's opinion, you just start falling. And then they picked him up, and when you start winning, then no one gives a shit about your numbers. You just see who's winning and who's starting.
Correct.
And he's starting and he's winning. So, they won't leave. I don't think they will. But Michael Porter Jr. is one, and I don't really think they give a shit, to be honest with you, about it.
I don't think that. I said doesn't play defense. He's voiced his complaints. Like I don't think he's a massive loss. I think Bruce Brown is going into that starting lineup, or KCP goes into that starting lineup. They'll get another role player. Like they'll attract a really good role player. They're a championship side. People will come chase for a ring. So that's not a big loss.
100%. Did you see John Joe Jordan's got his a ring before Chris Paul?
That's cool. That's great.
And then Jeff Green got a ring 11 years ago. He had open heart surgery, and his heart stopped for 10 minutes or something like that.
Open heart surgery, brother.
And his heart stopped for 10 minutes or something like that in the surgery.
So mine did not stop for 10 minutes. But
completely dead for like 10 minutes.
He was dead for 10 minutes. Yeah, wow.
I think it was 10 minutes, yeah. That's pretty incredible.
That is.
11 years later.
Absolutely.
Still playing basketball.
That gives me a chance, Fletch.
Gives you a chance. You've always got a chance.
Always got a chance. But nah, that's cool. Not good on John J. Jordan.
He didn't play a lick of minutes.
Did not do anything.
Oh. Thomas Bryant got a ring. Left the
Did
Lakers. He? Yeah. Well, he signed them.
Is he on there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know.
There was a couple that were like, what the hell? Where'd these guys come from?
Yeah, wow.
Oh, Ish Smith.
13
teams, 13 years. Finally got a ring.
That's cool. So that's just cool. But I really want to know, when you don't play a single minute, does it really feel like a ring?
Probably not, but you've got one.
It's cool to show, isn't it? Like,
it's nice
cool to show.
Bit of hardware.
Yeah, to attract the ladies.
Just go to the club with a massive ass ring on your finger.
Yes. But that's always cool seeing those like journeymen get a ring. That's cool.
Journeyman.
Well, yeah.
Do you think they should have to play 1 minute? Like, do you think they're like
let's be honest. If that was a thing, the last game of the season, they'd play them all 1 minute. Like that would be abused. There's no point.
But if you don't even get on in that time, then like you're that bad. You know? Like Jack White. Do you know who he is?
I know he played for the NBL.
He now plays for Denver.
Yeah.
He's on a 2-way contract. He's got a ring.
I guess the fact that there's less players on a roster in NBA compared to like an AFL.
Reggie Jackson's the other one that's got a ring.
Reggie Jackson. When the hell did he go to the Nuggets? But no, I don't mind it. I think that's the fact that there's throughout the season, a lot of these players are used. They don't get used in the playoffs, but they're used at the year.
I think Reggie Jackson hasn't played for him.
No, he wouldn't have. But he was barely playing for the bloody Clippers. But there you go.
He did play for the Clippers.
He was on the bench a fair bit, though.
I know.
But there you go. No, nice.
Reggie Jackson get paid $580K.
Oh, really? Did he get bought out or something?
He must have got bought out, and then that's what
he was not on $580K.
No,
at the Clippers.
Wow, Michael Porter Jr.'s on $30 million. Holy shit!
They will be saying they will pay for the they'll pay for the Uber driver for anyone to come and get him. I reckon.
Wow. Bruce Brown's on $6 million.
They'll be giving him away.
Bruce Brown's on $6 million.
Have him for free.
KCP's on 14, so that's 20, and then freaking old mates another 30.
Yeah.
Another 10 mil.
Bye
over
bye,
that.
MPJ. They are not paying him.
He's only 1 million less than Murray.
Yeah, so like
Murray's 31
He's
million
not
a year.
worth that. It's only because he's tall and can shoot. He can't defend.
Oh, Jesus. Daylight robbery.
There you go.
I didn't know he was 30 mil.
Yeah, I didn't know that, to be honest. Yeah, wow.
I'm reading that right. Yeah, he's 30 mil. Damn it. Talking about free agency.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some happening, some moving.
Some
And
murmurs.
Murmurs. The biggest one that I think right now, FFV. Declines.
Bigger than Chris Paul.
Yeah, 100%. Easy. Chris Paul washed.
Easy.
Declines his
22.
22.8 million to become an unrestricted free agent. Where is he going to? What does this mean for the Raptors? Or is he just trying to get more money from the Raptors? What do you reckon?
I think he leaves. I think, didn't he kind of voice his dissatisfaction throughout the season?
Wasn't particularly happy. But
So-
not many people were trying to happy.
No one were, to be honest. But I think he can be a handy player for someone. So I don't think...
Oh, definitely.
22 mils he's worth more than 22 mil. So I understand why he declined. But he can run the floor. He's a shooter.
Yeah, everyone needs one.
He will be. There won't be any shortage of interest for him.
No.
Like could even
Lakers-
I was going to say the Lakers is the first one I was going to think of.
100%. The two Lakers team. He's got the old connection with Kawhi. Obviously won the championship with him. So Clippers would be knocking on his door quickly, considering they've haven't got a point guard since they traded Shea. And then every other team in the league pretty much.
He won't get the bag from some places. For example, I first thought of Boston, but then he won't get the bag from Boston.
No, they've already got 60 mil between the two of them.
Yes, correct.
I did think Boston, but I thought, fuck off, they could get them.
You have to get rid of a fair bit. But
after you got
what's
Malcolm
his playmaking? What do you reckon his playmaking like? So that's what I thought Boston, but I'm not sure his playmaking is what they need.
It's good enough. It's good enough. He can shoot the ball and spread.
That's what
so,
his most use is going to come from this bit because he's a good player. So I don't think there'll be any shortage of interest for him. So I think it's a no-brainer for him to decline. To be honest,
you know, Sixers could knock on the door there too. If they lose James,
they lose Harden, yeah.
And the other one I thought, Phoenix.
Ooh.
I don't know where his connections are there.
My only thing is, they need depth. I'm not sure if they're getting an FAV probably makes that harder again to get the depth.
100%. But like,
is he a player that doesn't need the ball in his hands? Could he play off the ball? Or is he more an on-ball player? You know more than I do.
Nah, he's a bit more of a. He's probably 70% on ball and 30% off ball.
So could he potentially play for the Lakers and be that off-ball guy with LeBron?
Yeah, I think he could. I think he could do it in a championship team. He wouldn't do it in a mediocre side.
No.
But if you're talking championship team, I reckon he can be off the ball and just, like we talked before, give me your 10 points in the fourth quarter, give me 10 points in the third quarter when I don't get my other stars a rest. That's what he'd look at 20 points a game, 8 assists a game type of thing. That's what I'd see him as. But he'd complement his team really well. I don't know if you can pay him 25 or 30 million. Especially with the teams we just talked about. I mean, the Lakers have nothing. Literally nothing in the bank, and then Phoenix apparently have nothing in the bank. So it's going to be difficult because he's restricted free agent, so he's very unrestricted. So you can't put much of that money in luxury tax. Like a lot of that will go in your books, so you can't push that off into luxury tax and stuff like that. So it's going to be difficult. They always find a way around it because it's the NBA, but it'll be difficult. The next one, the Phoenix Suns have waived Chris Paul. Now, what's next for Chris Paul and what's next for Phoenix? I think Chris Paul, I hope to God LeBron James is not trying to recruit him.
Please don't.
Like, Le GM.
Could not think of anything worse for the Lakers than Chris Paul.
Oh, my God. If Le GM does that, he's the worst.
An injury-prone, can't shoot player that needs the ball in his hands makes no sense to the Lakers.
At 36 years old, that's 6'6", 6 foot flat even, just does not make any sense.
Can Chris Paul impact a championship side again? Because I was listening.
No, off the bench maybe.
I feel like he's more used going to a younger side and trying to kind of teaching them. But I think he wants a ring, so I don't think he's going to go to Houston and just teach them. But
off the bench, he'd be perfect.
But the thing is, you can't afford to play the whole season with Chris Paul and starting, and then get to the playoffs he's injured, and you have to try something completely different for the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm a little worried about probably sides that could use him. So could a Boston use him? Run the floor for you've seen Tatum and Brown, especially Tatum in big spots is kind of a bit small. Could having Chris Paul run the offense for him kind of make it a little bit easier for Tatum as opposed to having to be the guy?
Probably, and if they get him for not much, like $5 million, which is bargain,
he could kind of take it easy throughout the season, doesn't it? Because they'll win games without him.
And they can keep a Brogdon, they can keep a White. Then
you'd have to get rid of Smart. You couldn't have Smart and CP and Brogdon
but even
and
if
White
for $2 million or $5 million, whatever minimum vet contract, if he sits on the end of the bench for the rest of the year, does it worry you?
Oh, if you get him for a vet min, yeah, he's good at any side. But I'm not sure.
But no one's paying him over $10 million.
No, nor should they. He just gets in. He doesn't shoot, and he gets injured.
No one's paying him $10 million, so I don't reckon he's probably $5 million.
I think Boston could really use him though.
100%.
It's not the Lakers, my word.
Oh, if he goes to the Lakers, that would be an absolute shambles.
No, that would look bad in LeBron.
Oh, if LeBron does it, I'm like, LeBron, don't go buy a team because you're going to be the worst GM.
Worse than MJ.
100%.
Worse than MJ.
Russell Westbrook. You got Russell Westbrook instead of freaking DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, no.
Like, far out. Anyway, this is really interesting from Phoenix. They've waived and they haven't made a move yet. I think they're going after James. I think they're going after Kyrie. And I think they've got to... They've got to... You cannot waive Chris Paul and have Campaign as your starting point guard right now. They have to have something in the gun, especially since they did the KD move. So I'm intrigued of what's going to happen once. Give it a couple of weeks, trades start opening up. They're either going hard signing someone or trading for someone.
Will Ayton stay?
No, 100% not.
You don't reckon
He'll be out the door.
You don't reckon Vogel could convince him?
No, I don't think the owner wants him. I think the owner will say, "You're out." He just got a bit more value than CP, so they're not waiving him, basically.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about... We were just talking about before about how the super team is kind of becoming more and more extinct. I think James Harden is an old player that has done absolutely nothing in the playoffs.
I know.
Scares me. Like, you're seeing Booker and KD were dropping 40s each now losing games. I know, obviously, adding Harden helps with that, but I'm still very skeptical about that. And it's weird that KD kind of left that situation. Now he's trying to get James back and Kyrie back.
I think he left. No, I think he left someone else.
He left Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, he obviously left because Kyrie left, but I don't think we're going to play with Kyrie. I think Kyrie was a problem, not the other two.
I don't think the Phoenix Suns need this. I think they need depth.
Yeah, I think what we talked about, the utility.
Yeah,
they need more of that. They need someone that can play 3 or 4 positions on defense and then hit a couple shots on offense. That's what they're looking for. Over, you can only have the ball in so many hands, and they've already got the ball in enough hands, basically. The other big one is Golden State aggressively rejigging their roster to become a championship team. So Steve Kerr was very adamant that they just don't have the championship roster. At the end of the season, he was just like, yeah, we made it out of the first round, but we never, all season long, didn't have enough firepower to do it. He openly admitted that straight away. They pretty much said everyone's tradable. Steph Curry, they didn't say Steph Curry's untouchable, but they pretty much implied that you can't trade for him. And whatever you give up for him, you're not going to get the value back. You kind of just yin for yang. You end up that team loses, and neither team becomes a championship competitor because what you give up. But Clay is the interesting one to me. So everyone loves a shooter. Everyone needs a shooter. He's got a sizable contract, so a sizable player can come back. Contract player can come back because he's got the money going out too, so that works that way. But Poole has already been offered, and he is with a regressive season this year, but last year was very good. He is some serious bait for someone to pull off. And there's already been OG Anunoby and Thaddeus Young for Jordan Poole, Ryan Rowland, don't know who he is. That's why I said 2 names there. And then the 23 first pick for Golden State. So that's already been offered as of a couple of days ago. Nothing. I didn't really hear if it's got declined or still going, but really interesting that they're going hard and no one's off limits, including Steph Curry.
Yeah,
it's really incredible.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Paul, understandable. Like, obviously, he said he regressed, and seems like he's only, I think, the good part of the season was when Curry didn't play. And he could be a really good starter for another side, but he needs to join a team that, in terms of contender, a team that doesn't need his defense, because he doesn't have any defense.
Yeah.
So I think he's become a liability on defense. They weren't playing him in big games because he was a liability.
But I reckon Clay would be the one I'd get rid of before John Poole. I would get rid of Clay before John Poole.
Really?
You watch Clay run out, beautiful shot. You watch him run around. He's limping constantly.
He's not the same on defense either, and understandably so.
I just think Jordan Poole can be there for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Clay's got 2 or 3 more in. And he's still got the big contract. He probably doesn't have enough weight to pull someone really good back, but he's still got a big enough contract to pull someone back of that value. If that makes sense. So, I don't know, and everyone wants a shooter. I reckon the Lakers would give too much. The Clippers would give too much just to get a Klay Thompson in, because they need/want shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Jordan Poole's an interesting one. Do you think it's good for the Toronto to do this?
Toronto? Oh.
Like, they're getting rid of OG.
If they lose FVV, maybe.
True.
If they lose it, Fred VanVleet, it makes sense.
They've shot OG so much he just can't play for him, can he?
Yeah, he looked like he was going to leave in the deadline. So,
and Marsh is deadline and the year before that.
Correct. So I think he's probably on the way out. But I think if FVV leaves, it makes sense. It doesn't make them any better. Like, I'm not sure FVV for Poole really makes a difference to them. But
probably get worse.
But it's a young player. They're not winning a championship this year, so I don't hate it.
Maybe Barnes and could grow together.
Yeah, true. That'd be
Barnes
nice.
and Poole.
Yeah, so you'd have something to play for. You're not winning a chip though, but it's interesting.
A couple of years ago, maybe win a chip.
Interesting.
Maybe it is interesting. All right, cricket.
Yeah, we don't talk cricket much, but I think it's worth, on the eve of the Ashes, I think it's worth talking about.
I've got into cricket a little bit more.
Have you?
I can't help as much as what you know, but very interesting. Australia won the ICC
World Test Championship.
World Test Championship.
Correct.
It was quite interesting. It wasn't very interesting. It was quite interesting.
Yeah.
And Australia was very good. I'll openly admit that. They were very good.
They were very good. I think the lack of hype around this competition, it comes from the fact there's an Ashes. Ashes is the pinnacle. Ashes is the grand final. It is the pinnacle of the sport.
The Ashes.
You can't tell me otherwise. That the Ashes is the absolute pinnacle of this sport. So playing this on the eve feels like a warm-up. Feels like a glorified warm-up.
If I'm going to be totally honest with you, as a casual fan, not an in-depth fan, didn't think it was a warm-up. I did think it was. Until
You did or didn't?
I did. I searched up like Australia,
yeah,
and I thought it was a warm-up, and then I read the thing and it said like World Cup thing. I went, I didn't know what was going on.
All the chats and the Ashes, and probably rightly so. But to beat India and in England, and it's funny, India's been a bit of complaining for a few of the players, is rather humorous, and the fact that they can try and say that the
pitch,
the things against them when they literally run the ICC, they literally run it. It is that corrupt. So, realistically, Australia were favourites going into this just because the conditions suit Australia. So India really can't. Calling a flat track bullies outside of their own country is harsh, but it's getting pretty close. Outside of India, they're not that good.
I mean, come on. Those 4 pitches that we played in India against them were the most
genuine dust bowls,
corrupt thing I've ever seen in the sporting world.
It was. They can't win outside their own country. So Australia were favourites going in, and Australia were dominant. I think India won the toss and sent us in, and that wasn't a great decision. So, and the fact they went to water, that last day I was like, okay, 20 runs to win. This is going to be a bit of a contest here. The footy will finish, and bang, sit down and watch the cricket for 4 hours, and it was done before the footy finished. It was finished before the footy.
Boland just went.
Boland went off, and dominant from Australia, and it's decent preparation for England, but they're going to come against something completely different in baseball. And I think we'll try and get Riley on at some point to talk about the Ashes. At some point, there's obviously 5 tests. We'll get him on during that. But I'm not sure how much you've heard about baseball, Fletch.
I've heard a lot. 3-day tests.
It is exciting as fuck. It's going to be good. And a lot of haven't done it against our boys yet. Because Australia's got probably the best bowling attack in the ICC or in cricket. So that's really exciting. So it starts on Friday. Settle in.
They've obviously branded the bash ball or Bazball. Sorry.
Yep.
They've branded it.
Yep.
But I've heard a little bit of chat that Travis Head is a real.
He's doing it.
But he was doing it for them.
Yeah, he was.
He's not a whole side.
He was. Absolutely, he was. So he was blasting runner ball hundreds for over a year now. But yeah, England are in some serious form. They're probably Australia are ranked number 1, but I think England are probably the best team.
It is
in
also
Test cricket right now.
Oh, you bet.
They're that good, man. They've lost one game in like 2 years. They're like 13 out of 14 tests.
It is also at their home.
But it is at their home. But they haven't done it against Australia, so that doesn't count yet. So they do it against Australia. But this is so like heavily anticipated. This is the pinnacle. Winning in England.
So when you talk about obviously run a ball, they want to smack. They're looking for 3-day tests. Quick.
Yep.
Quick high scoring. They're putting it back on the bowler.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of mentality do you think the Australian bowlers need to come out with?
It's so that's I think that's all part of the intrigue is what does Australia do in terms of their plans, because they're not haven't come up against this at any point in Test cricket. This is revolutionising Test cricket, and what does the likes of a Boland who is just a line length bowler? What happens if you've got a bloke coming at him? Like Boland doesn't play T20 cricket, he doesn't play one-day cricket. Because he's a line length bowler. If you got a bloke walking at you, that changes your mindset. So it's really interesting. The real contest of the mindset. Does Australia stick to their own way? Like do they kind of buy into Bazball a bit? It's really interesting. So
will they be putting the ball in the corridor of what's it called?
Oh, I know there's a few different ones. There's the laneway liquidation. I think there's a few of these David Fleming ones.
Will they put it just third stump or second stump? I think it was Riley said, and just at the top of the stump, and just make sure you play a shot.
That's what you're taught to do is no matter what opposition's doing at you, you put on the same spot and make them play a good shot. But if you got Test cricketers walking at you, hitting your back over your head for 6 on a flat pitch, that has to change. You have to change. Like it's easy for me to say in a 2's game of cricket to bowl 4 stump all day. When Test cricketers are walking you down, that has to change. So. It's so interesting, and that's why it's such a hyped series. This is revolutionising Test cricket.
What do you reckon the win? Who do you reckon will win? And give me is it going to be England jump out early and win the first couple of games, and then Australia catch on and just win it in the end, or is it going to be England just too dominant? What are you predicting early? And when will you know that England's either working and they've got him? Like who's got who? Like. Because it's quite a mental game.
Of course it is.
What do you reckon? If you see Boland start changing up routines, we say England's got him.
It's a hard one. Personally, I think England have to be favourite. I think just the fact that in England, they have to be favourite. And David Warner's a liability at top of the order. He actually is. Like, I saw him in a bold statement, Fletch. I know. But I do like the fact that Marnus and Smithy both played in England coming into this series. So they both went to play county cricket for a bit, so they've come a bit acclimatised. It's England are going to have a day where they score 400 in a day's play, and it's going to look ridiculous, and we're going to look powerless to stop it. But they also think they're going to have a day where they get rolled for 100. So there's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows. I think England will win the series 3-1, I think. I think there'll be a draw because of rain. So I think 3-1. Yeah. And I hope I'm wrong, but I just think this is scary. What I will say, though, is England's top order is also very, very sus. Zach Crawley sucks. He sucks. We made him our bitch last time we played him. He sucks. And there's these players that aren't big names, but they're buying to Bazballs. It's Harry Brooks, Folkes, Duckett. These players that they're not big names. And I think that could have Cummins and Boland and Hazel get into them. Who knows? But for me, I just think England at home are just too scary. But after the last Ashes, we ran through them. So
that wasn't Australia though.
It was. So, but for me, I think England win the series. But I hope I'm wrong. I just can't see how Australia wins. This is too. I think it'll take
Best
too long.
player?
Ooh. Johnny Bairstow.
Oh, mate.
Johnny Bairstow.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's a bit lower on the order. But Ben Stokes is always scary. After we did to us in Edgbaston, that one where Lion choked. That we won't ever forget that. We get nightmares over that. But nah, I think England win the series. But I'm so excited. I don't think there'll be a lot of sleep going on. Hasn't been a lot of sleep going on the past week with the French Open and the cricket. Won't much sleep going on this weekend, that's for sure.
2 bits of news just to finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
We're at 45 minutes, so we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, okay.
Novak Djokovic.
Djokovic, yeah.
32nd?
23rd.
23rd Grand Slam, so most of all time. Greatest sports athlete ever.
He's the GOAT at tennis, I think.
Was he the GOAT of any sport?
Oh, not any sport. It's hard to. It's impossible to compare. It's hard because he's had the likes of Nadal and Federer, like 3 of the top 5 in the same era. If they're not around, he wins so many, and then he will be the greatest ever. So it's hard to compare. He'd be pretty close to it, but it's hard to compare Michael Phelps to him or MJ to him.
Sure.
It'd be hard pressed to not have him in a minimum top 10, arguably top 5.
It helps too to compare that because it's an individual sport, whereas a team like MJ and Tom Brady, like it's a team sport. So there's so many factors that what your team has to do. So
he'd be pretty close to that though. He's like one of the greatest athletes, sort of physically, but he's polarizing Djokovic, but it's hard not to like what he's able to do at his age.
You win. Live golf.
Yeah, what the hell?
PGA, just a little backflip there, and we'll take your money.
The dirty money is an issue until it's in our pockets. So it's bizarre, and we obviously don't know what's going to happen in terms of the Live players' contracts and how merging with Live Golf affects the PGA Tour tournaments. We don't know that, but it was very in the dark. Like none of the PGA players knew about it. I think Rory, there's 1 or 2 PGA players like Rory, but a lot of these PGA guys found out on Twitter.
Yeah.
So they really kept it in the dark, but. Especially with a major coming this week. Interesting to see there's a major this week.
This is the most snake movement I've ever seen from a
Jay
franchise.
Monahan is probably going to be number 1 in the golf world. But surprised I haven't heard Norman come out saying either. Interesting, because he's been very vocal. But
he's winning, that's why.
If
he started losing, he'd be vocal.
True. But obviously it's good. It's good for the casual that we get all our good players back playing the tournament. So for a casual, it's good, but I'd find it hard for a PJ player to still play with them. Just like the fact that they've gained, like they've got money in their pocket, yet they're still in the same position as all the PJ players that didn't go.
For sure, and like not notified, not made aware 6 months ago that this is happening or this may be going on. Just absolutely ripped out of stabbing the back. So
for sure.
And PJ hasn't. It's not like they've had to do this because of ratings are lost. They've probably done this because of money. Like, let's be flat out honest here.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like their ratings dropped massively. It's not like they had this real threat to the game that the game was going to lose and no longer PJ was going to be a thing. There was nothing like that happening. So they've just blatantly taken money from old Live over there, Saudi Arabia.
Yep, dirty.
All right, that's been the ep. That was a good ep.
Covered a few sports there.
I know. Well, NBA's not anymore, so...
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with the second... Oh, we have to do... Next week, we're doing our All-Australian.
Yeah,
I haven't even thought about it. Next week will be our All-Australian episode or episodes. We'll see how we go. But, no more NBA. We'll do... Probably should do NBA every few weeks. Just to compile a few bits of news.
Yeah. There'll be a bit of... Everyone will be off-season, and then it'll freaking heat up.
So
Give it 3 weeks.
A couple weeks' time, it'll pop off. But
and then we got a little bit of Ashes... Maybe a few.
We'll get Rod on. We'll get Rod on one episode to talk about the cricket. Obviously, he's over there. I think he's going to. Is it the Oval? He's going to one of the tests. So definitely get Rod on to talk cricket. I reckon.
Could do a
live cross.
Yeah, I was thinking live cross.
But there you go.
Oh, what's going on in England?
Yes.
Oh, it's a summer's day.
Oh, why do you sound English now, Rod? Get that accent, buddy.
Oh, Brighton wanker.
Yeah, posh wanker.
All right, that's been another good episode. Check out the socials. Tell a friend.
Tell a stranger.
Tell a stranger. Tell a friend. Whatever you want. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.